It's taken the last 2 days for us to get this trailer really in order. It was a complete disaster, but at least now it looks halfway decent, and at least I can find everything, because the thing is, it was messy. We were doing projects quickly, it got really messy, and then every time we needed something we couldn't find it. So just got to keep this thing organized. We're also trying to figure out what we need, what we can give away, and what we can sell. So we've got a couple things up for sale, just on like OfferUp, that we're gonna be getting rid of. But I mean, this whole trailer is gonna be for sale, and we've only got like 3 weeks to get rid of it before we splash. So not only do we have the deadline of getting in the water and getting the boat ready to get in the water, we also have to get this trailer cleared out and sold. The main thing is we've got all this scrap stuff that we just can't get rid of yet because we're not done with projects, but it's gotta go. I mean, we can't obviously take 4-page sheets of plywood with us. We've got a cabinet full of clothing that we have to go through. We've got all these tools over here that, you know, we're gonna have to go through and only keep the essentials. And then we've got all this epoxy stuff and paint and everything. And yeah, I want to take as little as possible cruising with us. And then we've obviously got stuff over here. This is all stuff that we still have to install on the boat. You can see that we have the wind generator there, we have our pedestal. So we've got to get installing that stuff, and at least that will free up some space in the trailer as well. Anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that so you can get an idea of some of the concerns that we have that aren't necessarily sailboat project related. You know, they're kind of auxiliary concerns that we have that always go on in the back of our heads, like where are we going to put all our stuff once we're cruising, and we've still yet to figure that out.
We just made some pieces of solid surface that we're going to use to make the fiddle, a little trim around the backsplash, and some pieces to waterproof the cooler. So we have some 3-inch pieces here for the fiddle. These pieces are 1 inch that we're going to use along the trim of the backsplash. This one's going to be in front of the step, so it's a little bit shorter, but it's going to be similar to the fiddle. And then these are going to be for the cooler.
Now the ends are pretty rough cut, and these are about as straight as we can get them, but we're going to kind of try to make them a little straighter with a belt sander and the palm sander, but we need to straighten out these edges, so we're going to pull the miter saw out for that, and then we're going to use the miter saw to cut these all to size, because they're not actually to size lengthwise yet.
We were preparing to put on the pieces of the counter that'll be the fiddle and the little backsplash trim, and we've had these 2 holes here since we've had the boat, and we were just kind of finally starting to peek in those holes, and we just assumed they went into the lockers, but really it's like a little cubby back in here. It's got a tabbed in bulkhead about 1 foot behind it. So there's like 1 foot of storage here that if we just open this up to where it's already got the 2 holes in it, we could put a little door on here and just have extra food storage, which seems very practical, because that's like what, 1 foot by 2 foot?
It's really hard to get on camera how big this is, but I mean, my hand could really, I still can't touch the back bulkhead back there. So like Randy said, there's probably 2 or 3 cubic feet of storage space that's just wasted behind this right here. So if we can make, you know, maybe a 10 by 10 square and put a door on it, we can access that and use it for cruising.
Yeah, so we never cut out the cooler. That's what we're working on now.
So we cut out that hole, but we realized that before we put the, you know, inch backsplash in, it really would help to have this peel and stick tile backsplash on there. So we want to put that peel and stick tile on there before we put that on there. So luckily the peel and stick tile works pretty well. It's really sticky. The adhesive's really good. This actually is epoxied on there, but we tested it on this section right here for about 2 to 3 weeks. It didn't come off, so that was kind of our test, this area. So I think that it should be good, and if it peels off, then we could always figure something else out.
Also, I want to show you what the inside of that hole that we cut looks like. There's like little pieces of wood in here from when they built the boat that's like left over in here. But you can see that bulkhead there that's tabbed in. And yeah, it's about like a foot-ish of space. Trying to reach my hand in there and fill. So I can't reach the end actually. So I can't reach the end, and it's a little bit up my wrist. So it's pretty deep, like 2 feet wide. Good little cubby.
Alrighty, so we have that area done now. Now we just have to hot glue blocks of wood to the surface so that we can clamp the new solid surface, and then it'll get glued to this right here, to the old solid surface. Alrighty guys, so we actually went to bed last night without gluing anything down, as you can see, because we needed a minute to kind of strategize, so we figured we'd sleep on it. But now we've got a good strategy going forward. We've only got 2 of those mixing tips for that surface binder for the solid surface left, so we need to do all the gluing right now with only 2 tips.
Yeah, so we had to be a little strategic about it.
Yeah, and we're going to do it in 2 phases. The first phase, we're going to glue the small little backsplash back there. I'm pointing at Randy and I'm trying to point at... We're going to glue this right here, the small little backsplash, because that doesn't need to be clamped. We're going to do that all right now. And then we're going to glue 3 sections of the fiddle, 3 most important sections, with the same tip. Let all of it dry. It takes about 45 minutes to dry, and then we're going to come back and glue the rest of it. You don't want to work with too many things at once.
Bump one area, putting in the area next to it, essentially.
Yeah. So let's see how this works. Let's get to work. It's time to do the first phase of the fiddle glue attachment thing. Here's a final look at the countertop with the new fiddles on there. I think it came out pretty good. So after the glue dried on the fiddles, we sanded everything down with 120 grit just to knock it down, and we stopped there. So there's a lot more detailing to do on this countertop behind me, but let's just consider this phase 2 of the countertop install. Phase 3 is going to be done on the water. So the only thing that's left to do on the countertop is really just the fine detail finishing. So basically going from 120 to 220 to 320 to 600 to, you know, higher and higher grit sandpapers, to just basically make it look nice and shiny. Now, we don't really care about that right now. We just want to get on the water, and the fiddles are on there. It's functional, looks good. So that's going to be a good project to do while on the hook. It doesn't even require any power, it's just wet sanding by hand. So for now, this is what she looks like. We just have a temporary plywood cover for the cooler, because pretty soon we're going to be making like a custom butcher block cover for that. It's going to look pretty good, and it's going to match another cover that we're going to make that's going to go over the sink. And that's pretty much it. Let's go over there to finish out the video.
Here in the States, it's coming up on Thanksgiving, so we wanted to take a moment to say thank you to all of you for all of the views, comments, and encouragement along the way. It's been amazing to see this community grow, and we love hearing about all the different places that you guys are watching and all the different people who are watching. One of our patrons, Mike Elders, actually reached out because he watches with his son George.
It's really cool to see a younger generation, and when I say young, I mean even younger than us, getting into sailing. And hopefully, George, we haven't scared you away yet, but thanks for watching.
So as always, guys, thanks again for watching. Make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed this video and a comment down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to follow along with our journey, and hit that little bell if you want to know each and every time we upload a video.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. I hope you're able to enjoy some time with your family.
I've got it right and I got it wrong, but I